Okay guys, so now let's quickly look at stateful widget. Now before that, right now we created a widget, stateless widget in the main file itself. This is not the best practice. So let's quickly go to our Explorer here. Make sure that you have the lib folder selected and click on this new file and write, let's give it home.dart. Okay, we will name it home.dart. As always, make sure that you have .dart in your file. Okay, now let's import this flutter material.dart. Let's quickly copy and paste it here, right? And now we will make a stateful widget here and home page 2. Okay guys, so now you can see that these two classes appeared. Now let's first understand what stateful widget is. Like this page created right here is in the stateless widget. If I use this button, I can only print button clicked on the terminal. Now what if I want on the debug console, right? Terminal is this one, debug console is this one. Now what if I want to print it here and every time I want to change something, right? Like let's say I want to increase the number, which was the boilerplate code of Flutter itself. Okay, now what if I want to make that code again? So let's build that code, but we will be building it way simpler and it will be way easier. Okay, by the way, if you guys are confused about what this override is, within the stateless widget also there was an override. Okay, although I explained this earlier, let me give you again a brief context. Override is used whenever the hot reload, this is hot reload. Okay, whenever you press Ctrl S, your app hot reloads and only one page is reloaded. Okay, the page that we are on currently. So this override is telling, this is basically inheritance, right? It's extending from stateless widget, and this override is telling Flutter that only load this class, do not load any other class, load this class where the pages are available. Okay, because see, this extend stateless widget also has a build method like this which we created here, and if Flutter went on and created the entire app again, then it will take more time. Because we did not make any changes in stateless widget, we only made changes here. So Flutter reloads this page. Okay, so now let's quickly add a scaffold here within the stateful widget. And guys, don't worry if you're not able to understand these terms, override, override is again, Flutter is telling that do not use the create state method. Here the create state method is being called. So do not use the create state method that is within the stateful widget. Use the create state method which is right now here. Okay, and what do I mean by the page that we are on right now? I mean that on the emulator. Now let's go for scaffold and let's quickly add an app bar. Okay, app bar, and I will give it a title. I will say counter. Let's go with counter. Okay, counter. And also you need to wrap it within the text widget. Okay, and make sure that you have the constant keyword so that your code runs smoothly. Now for the body, I will give it a container. Okay, let's wrap it in center first, and child container, and here I want to give it another child which will have a text. Okay, right now let's give it an empty string. So before actually adding, let's change our homepage from the previous homepage to the homepage 2. So within VS Code, you can just remove this line and you can add homepage 2, and you will be able to see homepage 2, and there is an option of auto import from, and this something package. So you can just press enter, and this, what happens is this basically automatically writes this line for you. This line tells that import all the packages from this file. You can see that home.dart is mentioned. So it is importing all the packages, whether they may be classes, they may be different variables, whatever it might be. It will import all of these to this file using this line. Okay, and that is how we were able to call this class here in this file. So the moment I press Ctrl S, you can see that counter, which was on this page, appears. Okay, so now let's write something in text. Let's write 4. Okay, because we are making a counter for numbers. So I want to increase its size and I want to make it bold. So I will do comma style. I hope you guys remember this. If you don't, just follow along. Text style. And within the text style widget, let's give it a size first. Font size of 40. Okay, because we want it to be visible. And let's give it font weight also. Font weight dot bold. So right now it's bold. Now let's make a floating action button. You can see that our center widget was ending here because / center is being written here, and the last bracket you can see that it is ending here. So after the comma, you will press enter and write floating action button on pressed, make a lambda function, which is, it sounds complicated, but don't worry, it's just these normal brackets and these curly brackets. Okay, and then add an icon by writing child icon, and let's go with icons dot plus. Okay, so you can see that +1 icon appeared. Now I will make this constant so that I do not get the blue lines, and I'm getting blue lines here, but we will change this 4 to a variable. Okay, so now let's quickly make a new variable with int, and I will make it count equals to, initially the count will be 0. Okay, and I want to print this count on the screen. So I cannot directly just write count here because the text widget takes a string value and count is an integer. So to do that, we need to use string interpolation. I know that you guys might have forgot it, so let's quickly see how to do it. We will just add the double quotes and add a $sign, not an @ sign, a $sign. Okay, so now you can see that 0 is coming here. So now when you click here on the count, you can see that both the counts are highlighted. This is how you know that we are using variable and it's not a string anymore. Okay, and you can also see that 0 is appearing. Okay, so now what we want to do is increment every time we click on this button. Right now nothing is happening, right? So before we do that, let's quickly make all the blue lines as constant. But now see, the moment I did constant on a container, it showed me an error because I am using a variable here, right? And when using a variable, I cannot use a constant keyword. So let's add constant here. Okay, what the heck did I write? Constant. Okay, but you can see that it's still showing me blue lines under container. So let's see what the problem is. And when I click here, it's showing me avoid unnecessary containers. So it is telling me that I don't have to call a container. I can directly call a text widget. So remove container and save it. You can see that there weren't any changes. This means that we can also use a text widget without a container widget. Okay, so now let's implement the +1 functionality, which is actually pretty easy. So in the on pressed within the curly brackets, guys, you will always write your code within the curly brackets whenever you want to print something or do something. Okay. Okay guys, so in these normal brackets, you usually add parameters which you will need within this function. Okay. Right now we do not need any parameters, but we will look into how to add parameters here also later. So we want to add +1 to this count every time we press this button. So to do that, there is a function called setState. And within the setState, what you want to do is count equals to count +1 and end it with a semicolon. Now what was setState? SetState is basically a magical tool, I would say, that comes with stateful widget. You cannot use setState with the stateless widget. And this is because with setState, changes that you make on the screen appear in real time. So what do I mean by that? So let's quickly click the +1 button here and you can see that the value incremented. So what basically setState is doing is that it's changing the value in real time on your screen. Now, no matter how many +1s I add, it will automatically increment the value. Okay. So this program is a success. Okay guys, so now that we have the basic understanding of what is a stateless widget, what is stateful widget, and how the basic Flutter code runs, let's quickly jump to the next section, which you all have been waiting for, which is how to build the piss simulator. In that, we will be looking at how to add an image, how to add audio, how to add gradient colors, and make our app even more exciting.